Right, so there's some talk about Usyk versus Wilder, right? Deontay Wilder. And I see the comments, I check the comments under the post on YouTube, and a lot of people are hating on the fight. The fight no one asked for, so on and so forth. A lot of people hate the fight, right? But this is a fight that I said I wouldn't mind for Usyk. I think 3 guys I said that I'd like to see Usyk fight. Well, I think I said 4 in the video that I made. But the first one would be Kabayel, right? I want to see that fight most of all. The second one would be Opataya. Okay, Opataya moving to heavyweight and fighting Usyk. The third fight, Fury for a 3rd time. Yes, I know it's a 3rd time, but Usyk's options are limited now, right? And the 4th fight I said was Wilder, right? Deontay Wilder. So there's my pecking order of what fight I would want to see most for Usyk. The most desired fight for me would be the Kabayel fight. I want to see him fight Kabayel. Kabayel has has looked better than any other heavyweight apart from Usyk. Stopping Zhang, stopping Frank Sanchez. This guy, he's on a roll. Kabayel is on a roll, and he's aggressive. He goes after his man and he tries to stop his opponent, right? So he'd bring some pressure to Usyk. He'd make Usyk work. That's an interesting fight. I still think Usyk would win, but that's the most desired fight, like I said, for me. Secondly, Opataya, obviously that's, a dream matchup right there. Usyk ex-cruiserweight undisputed against, I would say Opataya is undisputed at cruiserweight because really no one wants to fight him now. I don't know how many titles he's got. I think he's just got the 1, maybe he's got 2, but regardless, I see Opataya as undisputed cruiserweight champion. He's clearly the best at cruiserweight. That would be a very, very interesting fight. And then Fury, yes, he's semi-retired. Yes, he's lost to Usyk twice, but personally I think that if he's in the best shape he can be in, Usyk's getting up there in age now, it would still be an interesting fight, even the 3rd time around. And then Wilder, for me, Wilder would be the next choice, because the thing with Wilder is he carries that power, even if people see it as a mismatch, you still have to give Wilder a chance because he's got that power. He can land 1 punch and put your lights out. You can't rule out a guy like Wilder. And Wilder isn't a guy like Ngannou, who has power but is a MMA fighter. Wilder is a boxer. He throws a good straight right hand. He throws a good fast 1-2. If it lands on Usyk, who knows? He could put Usyk clean out. So that's not what I think. I think Usyk will win, but it's still a fight that I would tune into, and I wouldn't miss, because I know that Wilder could land on Usyk. So yeah, for me, it would be an intriguing fight. I know Wilder is at the end of his career. I know he's looked bad in a couple of fights, but still, he's got that power and he's got that speed on the right hand. Usyk could be winning the fight comfortably for a few rounds, and then out of nowhere Wilder lands a right hand and drops him. That can happen. right? Who else has that intrigue? For me, Kabayel, like I said, I want to see that fight more than anything else. But when I think about that fight and how they line up, I think Usyk wins pretty comfortably. You know, Kabayel would bring some pressure, but ultimately I think Usyk is just too good for Kabayel. Opataya, again, interesting, but probably not going to happen. You know, Opataya seems determined to get those belts at cruiserweight, so I think he's staying there, and by the time he collects those belts, Usyk's going to be retired, so that fight probably not going to happen. You know, Fury is there. We've already seen it a couple of times. Like I said, there is some, I would be intrigued with a third fight, but you know, Fury would have to be in the best shape he's been in to stand a chance, really. So, and then that leaves, you know, up and comers like what's his name, Atalma, right? Atalma. To beat Usyk, you need speed, you need power, right? Usyk's too good otherwise. You're not going to beat him if you're a good boxer with decent speed. You need fast hands. You need to be able to catch Usyk off guard. You need to be able to hurt him. You know, the only guy that I see that has that potential is Atalma, you know, but we haven't seen enough of Atalma. He doesn't deserve the fight with Usyk, but he's the only guy that could be a threat to Usyk, in my opinion. But like I said, I don't want to see that fight because Usyk is 40 years old. You know, he's going out. He's going to be retired soon, and you're going to put him in there against, you know, the young up-and-comer. You know, I don't want to see that. You know, I don't want to see a 40-year-old man get stopped by a 21-year-old man. You know, I just don't want to see that. I don't, yeah, like I said, Atalma doesn't deserve the shot against Usyk. But with Wilder, you know, Wilder, ex-world champion, reigning champion for 5 years. You know, he's got that power, so there's that intrigue that even though Wilder is nowhere near as good a boxer as Usyk, he could land that right hand. So yeah, for me, I don't mind the fight. You know, I don't get what the hate is about when it comes to this one. For me, it's like, yeah, why not? Give it to Wilder and give Usyk Wilder. You know, that's more my thing, is give Usyk Wilder, because Usyk, in his last 6 fights, he's fought Dubois twice, Fury twice, Joshua twice. There's 6 tough fights, you know, in his late 30s, coming up from cruiserweight. He's got to get through those guys, those 3 guys right there, Dubois, Fury, AJ, all of them twice. 6 very difficult fights, you know, every time going up against the bigger man, power. You know, he's up against it and he's come out on top, and now he's 40 years old. Give him the fight with Wilder. You know, give him this fight to cement his legacy. Wilder was one of the big 3, right? Fury, AJ and Wilder dominated the heavyweight division there for quite a while, for a few years. Usyk has beat AJ, he's beat Fury. The last scalp that he needs or could do with on his resume is Wilder. You know, that would add to his legacy. So that's more my thing, is allow Usyk to have this fight. You know, give him Wilder, feed him Wilder, right? Let him stop or beat Wilder to get that scalp on his resume. But again, there's also the intrigue of what Wilder brings. He brings power. He brings a fast, powerful right hand that you can never rule out, right? So that's my thoughts. I think this is the fight to make. Kabayao, I'm not sure why that fight's not happening. Opataya doesn't look like he's going to move up to heavyweight. Fury still retired, I believe. So, you know, Wilder for me, and Italma doesn't deserve the shot at the heavyweight titles. He's too young. You know, he hasn't done enough to prove himself. Hrgovic has done more than Italma, right? So for me, Italma, no chance getting the shot. For me, it's Wilder. Wilder is the guy that makes sense. So, you know, don't hate on this fight. Let's see it. That's what I think. Let me know what you think.